Thank you. Oh, it's good to be home. Whew. I'm speaking pretty much every Sunday in other churches, so it is a delight to be with you all. It feels so good. I'd like you to repeat this after me. I'm ready for my revelation. Are you really? Yes. Yes. Because you are in the perfect place at the perfect time, and your spirit, that spirit within you, is talking to you right now. And I hope that you open your hearts to this message, whatever that may be, because each one of us gets our own personal message, right? So the title of my talk this morning is The Voyage of the Heart. The Voyage of the Heart. And this is a rather personal story that I'm going to tell you. Do you mind if I tell you a personal story? Not at all. Thank you, Breezy. So last June, I was writing my goals. I write them every quarter. I have a planner that is for 3 months, and then I get a new planner at the end of that time. And then I transfer my goals to that new planner. And I have written this thing. I'll show you what it is. It's my personal life plan, which has all of my roles in here: the role of a spiritual being, the role of a leader, the role of a friend. But there was one in particular that the role 3 was loving wife. And so in June, at the end of June, I'm writing down my new goals for the quarter. And I realized that every quarter, I write this same goal down. I have been for 23 years, since I divorced. That's a long time. So I was writing this goal down again for the umpteenth time. And I write down my purpose for that role. And I write down my envisioned future. And then I write down my specific commitments, because we set our intentions, but we have to follow that up with what? Action, right? Treat and move our feet. Isn't that what we teach? And so I have specific commitments that I had for each of my goals. And the ones for this role were to enter the quantum field daily to prepare myself and attract my perfect mate. And what I mean by that is, I cannot expect someone to be something that I am not. Does that make sense? Yes. As Emerson says, if you want a friend, be a friend. So if I wanted someone loving and kind and compassionate, I had to be all those things. So that was my role to take on. What is it that I want to attract? Because the law of attraction will pull that in. My second one was be every quality I'm seeking in him. And then my third action step was go out on a date by X date. The problem was I kept pushing that date off every quarter. Well, I didn't get it in this quarter, so I'd push the date off again. And I realized as I was writing this goal down for the umpteenth time that I was out of integrity. I was out of integrity because I was setting a goal to do something, and I wasn't following through. Anybody in this room besides me ever do that? A few of you, okay. And so when I got to that place of clarity and I went, oh my God, I'm out of integrity, I had two choices. Either take the goal off and just recognize, okay, that's not enough importance to me. I've not done anything really about that. Or, secondly, do something. Do the committed action. Ooh, that's scary, because the idea of going out on a date really still terrified me. It terrified me. But I thought, if I want to show Spirit that I'm available, I have to do the thing that I am wanting to attract, right? Whew. So I gave myself a talking to and said, I'm a religious scientist. I know how these principles work, and I have to treat and move my feet. Okay, gulp, I'll do it. So I wrote down the goals for July, and I realized I now got to do something about it because I just made another commitment to myself. So it was probably a couple weeks later, I realized, okay, let's start looking at least at dating platforms. So I did. That scared the heck out of me right there. I was like, oh my God, it just seems so scary. Anyone relate to that? Dating has changed a bit in 23 years. And so I just decided, okay, I'm going to keep moving forward. So by August, I had looked at a couple, but something kept coming through, and I just kept getting a nudge that said, check out eHarmony. So I did. And I checked it out, and I love how these dating sites will say, look for free. So you go on there hoping to look for free, and then they get you to do a whole profile, and the next thing you know, it's like, would you like to join? And so I realized, okay, I guess I'm going to join. And I'd heard some good success stories about eHarmony, and so I joined. Gulp. That was a huge step for me. I'm pretty fearless in my life, except in that arena. Can you relate? There's always one place that we still have to gather our courage. So I joined eHarmony, and I wouldn't look at it for about a week and a half, because I was just too scared to look at my matches. And I finally went, okay, got to take a look at this. And I sent out a message to someone that looked nice and said, you got a nice profile, and maybe we can connect. It was very, very basic like that. I got an answer back a day later that said, I've met the love of my life. Thank you so much, but I'm not interested in hearing from you anymore. I was like, okay, strike one. But I was undaunted. I thought, I'm doing this. So there were 3 other guys that I looked and saw their profiles and sent the same thing to them. Liked your profile, maybe we could connect. One answered back within 5 minutes. Thanks, but no thanks. Please don't contact me again. It was nicer than that, but that's what it felt like. And then the other 2 never heard from them. And by now, I'm 0 for 4. And I thought, maybe this isn't all it's cracked up to be. And I started feeling that trepidation again. When you've put yourself out there and it's not quite working yet, and you're thinking, oh my God, was this really the right thing to do? So I was telling my friends, I've come to the realization, even if no one ever messages me on eHarmony, I've made myself available, I've told Spirit I'm ready, and the rest is up to Spirit. So I've done my part. I will continue to be open to whatever intuitive guidance I get from Spirit, but I can relax about this. I've done my part. I've stepped up. So I was talking to them on Zoom. It was a Tuesday night, and we finished around 8:30, and I thought, I'm going to check eHarmony one more time. And there was a message from a guy named Bob. And that alone was confirmation that when we just stick to what we say we're going to do, it may follow what looks like into a blind dead end. And yet, it always is making a way for us if we simply are open and available to it. So I call these moments teachable moments. Teachable moments. So the voyage of the heart requires you to be teachable. I love this picture because the little baby elephant's kind of hesitant about getting down to the water, and the mother is gently pushing him with her trunk, because that's the way I feel like Spirit is sometimes gently going, come on, you can do this. You can do this, Sally. If I'm teachable, I can move into a place of knowing that all is unfolding for my highest good. Would you agree with me on that? Yes. A few of you. Would you agree with me on that? Yes. Everything is unfolding for our highest good if we simply open and be available and teachable. And so these teachable moments are what I look for Where can I learn? Because Spirit is always talking to me, is always telling me through friends, through media sometimes. It is amazing how if I look for an answer, it's always there, always there. So Robert Russell has a wonderful quote in putting the prosperity idea to work. He says, working in the absolute is an awakening rather than a process. Before you can work successfully, you must not only be able to disregard appearances, but learn to work with facts. So what does he mean by that? Not only do I have to have the spiritual eyes to see the man of my dreams, that I'm married to him and all of the things that I wanted in that part of my life, but I have to work with the facts that are there. I had to work with the fact that I wasn't doing anything about getting to that dream. I had put that dream up on a shelf and thought, well, maybe someday someone will wander into my life and it'll be wonderful. Anyone else besides me do that? Little shelf dreams. And so I love what he says here. We have to work with the facts. That means being open and teachable to what is mine to do in this regard. What is mine to do? Just like Dr. Barbara was saying in her wonderful video we just saw, you've got to do the action to back up the intention. So the fact was, I wasn't doing anything about my desire until I moved into that realm of possibility with, let's give this a try. What's the worst that can happen, right? What's the worst that can happen? So the voyage of the heart requires you to be teachable. It also requires you to have courage. You've got to have the courage to step forward. Trust me when I tell you, I am absolutely fearless in just about every area of my life. I have confidence. I move forward. And this was one area that I felt was my Achilles heel, relationships. And I had tried and I kept picking myself up and I kept moving on. I had to have the courage to try it again. I had to keep going. I had to tell myself, this goal that I want to create in my life, this blessed relationship that I wanted to have, and I was really clear about it. I knew who I wanted. I had a list of traits. I knew exactly what I wanted. But now I had to do the work. I had to have the courage to get to that place. Erich Fromm has a wonderful quote. He says, creativity requires the courage to let go of certainties. Certainties. And I had some certainties in my life I had to let go of. I'm going to get real personal here. The certainty that I had was this, that I kept putting off dating because I thought I have to lose the weight first. Can you relate to that? I have to do X before I get to Y, whatever your X and Y are. But that was my certainty, that I had to do that is this lovable? That was the real question. And I had to get to the crux of, I am lovable, no matter what, no matter how I show up. I am lovable simply because I incarnated on this planet, and so are you. I had to really drill down that essence of who I was before I could take that step. So it required the courage to not only get out there on a dating platform, it required the courage for me to look at what I thought I was. Does that make sense? And to determine that what I had was an untruth, a misbelief that I had to heal. And I had to move towards the truth of what really it was about, which was, man, I'm a great package and someone's going to be thrilled to be a part of my life. Thank you. That was the real journey, my friends. And I invite you, whatever certainty you think you might have in your life, kick it aside. And if you have trouble reaching that place where you know the truth of who you are, please call a practitioner. call one of us ministers and we will tell you the truth of who you are and remind you that you are here to be a blessing to the world. So I had a lot of work to do, a lot of work. But I did it. I kept showing up and doing it. The courage to let go of our certainties is one of the biggest roadblocks that I had. What certainties have you bought into that you've said, oh yeah, I can't do that. I'm too old. I don't have the degree. I don't, whatever the excuse is. What certainty can you let go of today? Let it go. You are bigger than that, much bigger. Walt Disney certainly had courage to let go of his certainties. I love this quote from him. He says, Mickey Mouse popped out of my mind onto a drawing pad 20 years ago on a train ride from Manhattan to Hollywood at a time when the business fortunes of my brother Roy and myself were at lowest ebb and disaster seemed right around the corner. We never know when our breakthrough is going to come through. We never know how close we are to the acres of diamonds, as Russell Cromwell would say. We have acres of diamonds to harvest within ourselves if we just have the courage to dig deeper and to let go of all that stuff that we've bought into somewhere along the way, that we weren't enough, that we weren't whatever. And so Walt Disney, at the lowest ebb of his career, kept saying, there's something here. And this little mouse popped out of his brain, and the rest, as they say, is history. A whole industry has now come out of that little mouse. But the certainty that he had something to give back to the world, was always there, always there. The voyage of the heart requires you to keep going, to keep utilizing your courage. And then the voyage of the heart requires a third thing. It requires a mystical marriage. Now, what do I mean by that? In The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn, she writes this. In the 23rd Psalm we read, He restoreth my soul. This means that the subconscious mind or soul must be restored with the right ideas, and the mystical marriage is the marriage of the soul and the spirit. They must be one. And I had two going on. I really want this relationship, but I'm not worthy of it, or whatever variation that was. I had to bring those together into one. So the mystical marriage requires that we keep touching in to our divine self, that we keep up with our spiritual practices, that we keep knowing the truth about ourselves, and we keep moving in the direction of our dreams, because our heart wants what it wants, and it keeps telling us, you are worthy of this and so much more. Just keep going. The mystical marriage is one that requires right thinking. Right thinking. And would you agree with me that right thinking is more necessary today than ever? Holy mackerel. There's a lot of wrong thinking going on out there about how terrible it is. You know what? A good pandemic is a terrible thing to waste. It really is. Take advantage of this. You are being given the best opportunity to show up with all your courage and grace and wonderful you, and you get to be something that is so far beyond what you thought you were. Ah, thank you, pandemic. It is a fabulous opportunity here if we just seize it. I know for me, I've gotten great clarity in 2020 about what's important to me. I'm casting aside things that aren't anymore. So whatever benefit, whatever wisdom, which is why I wrote that guided meditation for you today, what are you getting from 2020 is the first part of moving into 2021. You've gotten great wisdom and insights. A good pandemic is a terrible thing to waste. Do not keep saying, oh, I'm so glad 2020 is almost over. No, thank it. Thank it. for the wisdom, for the movement that you've had in this year of tumultuous activity. When you're making a garden, you got to till the soil. You got to break the soil up. That's all that's been happening here. What you put in the seeds is your responsibility now. The ground is tilled. It's perfect, ready for you to transform your life by deciding what it is you're going to put in the soil and nurture. So right thinking is so incredibly important right now for all of us, because we are the light bearers, right? We're the ones who are holding the light for those that cannot. Don't ever lose sight of that. So back to my story, my voyage of the heart. So I get this message from Bob. And it was a really cute message, and I thought, wow, I didn't even reach out to him. He messaged me. And so I just wrote him a message. It was a really nice message, and I thought, either he's a really nice guy or he's from Nigeria. But everything was spelled right, so I thought, okay, well, let me just give this a try. So I have gotten, like you, tons of Nigerian scams, right? And so I was like really cautious, and I thought, okay. And all my friends were kind of, okay, now be real careful about who you talk with, and very well-meaning friends, right? So I messaged Bob back, hey, I like your profile too. I checked it out. And so we talked on that platform all the next day. That was August 18th was that night that he sent me that first message. So August 19th, we messaged all day long. And at the end of the day, I saw, wow, this is a pretty cool guy. I messaged him and I said, I'd really like to connect with you. Can we talk on the phone? And so we started conversations the next day. We've been inseparable ever since. So much so, he lived in Indianapolis. And I thought, well, that's a bummer. I was hoping that there'd be an Asheville guy or somebody relatively close. But Bob was in Indianapolis. But we figured, okay, we'll visit. So I visited him 2 weeks later, I guess. And in the meantime, we talked every day, sometimes up to 8 hours a day. I was trying to do that while holding down a full-time job. That was hard. But we found very quickly that we were so compatible and so in tune with each other. We were finishing each other's sentences before long. It was really quite amazing. So right before I left to go up to Indianapolis to visit him, I went over Labor Day weekend. I was going to drive up that Friday and spend the weekend with him. And I remember thinking, it's only been like 18 days. And I was really freaking out because this was so good. Don't we do that when our dream finally comes true and we start negating it? Well, it can't be this good. I had to stop that thinking. I had to stop it. So I talked with my practitioner and I said, it's only been 18 days. And he said, honey, it hasn't been 18 days. He said, you've been doing this for 23 years. You've been working on yourself. You have been showing up. You've dated a couple times, and even when they didn't work out, you picked yourself back up, and you kept moving. So it hasn't been 18 days. It's been 23 years. And I went, oh, he's right. He's right. All the cumulative wisdom was coming forward now. And that's what happens when we get to that place of realizing and manifesting what it is we've been saying we want for all this time. It comes about. It seems like overnight. But it really was the cumulative wisdom and inner work that we had done all that time. So I went to visit him. This was a picture that we took that first weekend. His name is Bob Rubel. He's right there. And we knew, now that we were physically in, I could actually touch him, I could actually kiss him. We knew that this was meant to be. So we were like, okay, Bob, you come down to Asheville and visit me, and then I'll go up to Indianapolis. We were trying to figure out how to make this work. I came back on that Monday, and I was so sad leaving Indianapolis. I was like, how am I going to do this? Because we just knew we were meant to be together. And 8 days later, Bob packed everything into a U-Haul and moved down here. Yes. He pulled up in that U-Haul van, and I was like, yeah! 3 days later, he proposed to me. And on November 1st, just weeks later, we got married on a mountaintop in Little Switzerland here in North Carolina. And just because of COVID, we just had the minister there with us. But so today is our 5-week anniversary. Yay! So, and Barbara, you've been married 31, 32 years? Yes. I look forward, I don't know if I can make it that with Bob. I'm 62, and I will welcome that. But you know what? Every day is precious. When you reach this age, I'll say my age, because we have varying ages in here. When you reach my age, it is that much sweeter because I've been working on this. And I know that finding the love of my life has just been so magnificent. And I treasure every day with him now. Every day. So what dream have you put up on the shelf? What have you said, I'm too old for that now? No. A resounding no. You are so worthy of everything you've ever. Your heart's desires come from where? From spirit. So listen to that. It's the voyage of the heart. Listen. Tune in. Have that mystical marriage and know that the right thinking of this is mine. I know it is. And I know that I'll be given every resource to get what I want and manifest in my life. That's what we teach here, right? And sometimes we're the ones that it's a little hard skull, you know. It's like, okay, it took me a while to figure it out, but I finally did. It is so worth it. So worth it. The voyage of the heart has reaped many rewards because I keep tuning in. I keep tuning in. It took being teachable. It took having courage. It took having that mystical marriage with the one again and again and again, even when I lost my way. It's just, you got to keep coming back. And my life plan now has a new goal. To create a conscious, intentional marriage. Yes, yes. I can cross that other goal off. Get out there. You have so much to live for in this life. I encourage you this week, take it off the shelf if you've put it up there, and know that you are worthy of this and so much more. I love you. Thank you so much for having me here today. Namaste.